travelers.
You have to go to the gym?
I have to go to the gym. I have to.
I still have to cancel my subscription for like a gym that's like far from my house and start a new one at the one with the pool. Because no way am I passing up a pool.
Right. If you have a chance to get a pool.
It's summer.
Get a pool. Yeah.
I need to swim.
I need to swim. I need to swim. I haven't touched water.
I need to touch water.
I need to do it. Yeah.
That was your quest, Maggie. You failed.
I know, and I failed the quest. I failed the quest. I did. Well, I will be completing the go see a movie quest.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see Inside Out tomorrow. Inside Out 2. I'm very excited.
I'm actually really excited.
I know. I think it's gonna be good.
Good things. I want to see it.
So I'm gonna do that quest at least, and then I'll touch some grass after.
Okay, 2 for 1.
I know, 2 for 1. Have you done your quest? Well, you did touch water. You did.
I did. I touched water.
Yeah.
I didn't go to the movie yet because I was like, I don't know. I'm debating on what movie I want to see.
Yeah. I feel like there's not super great ones out right now.
Not right now, at least. I know there's a lot that are coming out later this year that I'm really looking forward to. All I know is I have Coraline remastered on my calendar.
Yes, I forgot about that.
You already know I'm seeing that in the 3D.
You already know. I'll be there.
You already know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I forgot about that.
And it's just too good of a movie to pass up.
I know,
what
so
experience
good.
To see it in theater?
Right.
Come on.
You can't miss that. You can't miss the chance.
Come on.
Yeah. That's a good one. And then Wicked comes out in November. And I am so excited for that. Yeah.
Wait, isn't Ariana Grande in that, right?
Yeah, she's Glinda.
Yeah. I'm excited for that.
And Anthony from Bridgerton, isn't it? Yeah, he plays Fiyero, the hottie. Okay, perfect casting. Right. Perfect casting. I'm sat already. I'm already sat. Cannot wait.
What book is it? Oh, so the guy that made Coraline, speaking of Coraline, the guy that made Coraline wrote another book, and it's called The Ocean at the End of the Lane.
Yeah.
And that's being turned into not a claymation, but the stop motion animation. Yeah. And they're turning that into a movie too.
I love that.
And I've heard some incredible things about The Ocean at the End of the Lane.
I haven't read it yet. I have it. I just haven't read it
yet. I started reading it, and so far it's really good. But I saw an article that was talking about it, saying that it's kind of being compared to like a second Coraline kind of vibes.
Oh.
And I was like,
okay, I'm there.
My God,
say less.
Say less. I'll read the book right now.
Yeah. Have you read or seen Stardust?
No. Oh wait.
It is another one by Neil Gaiman.
Maybe.
And there's a movie. And I watched the movie first because Charlie Cox plays Daredevil, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
and then I read the book after, and I am in love with both of them.
Wait, I didn't know that was a book.
Yeah. Oh, I have it. It's so cute. It's like a short little read. It's so fun. Like a little episodic fantasy.
Oh, my mom liked this movie. I had it on DVD, I think.
It's so sweet. It's just the cutest, happiest story ever. It's like there's like bad things that happen, but the stakes are pretty low. So it's kind of just like a guy goes on an adventure and meets fantastical friends. It's so much fun.
The perfect, ideal adventure.
Right, just like a very low stakes adventure where a guy just gets to experience magic. It's so much fun. So yeah, definitely recommend. I love Neil Gaiman and all his work. He's so cool.
Yeah, a lot of his work is just really top tier.
It really is.
Honestly, I have not heard a bad thing about any of it.
You know, Good Omens, the show with David Tennant. He wrote that book series with Terry Pratchett. Yeah, they like.
Oh my gosh! What the heck?
Literally every great thing is him.
It's so good.
So great.
I'm like looking up all of his stuff.
Yeah.
Like Neil Gaiman, what is he?
What is he?
What is Neil Gaiman, sir?
Ari, what are we talking about this week? I mean, this Thursday.
I'm just kidding. This last podcast of the week.
Last podcast of the week, yeah. So
last podcast of
the week.
Well, since we're all about transformation and transitioning and, growing in our lives, part of transition is, like we said before, killing the past and moving on. But how does one move on? You know how? By
How?
being reborn.
Reborn, rebirth,
Reborn.
rebirth,
Rebirth.
rebirth,
Rebirth.
rebirth. And we happen to know a very long word that means rebirth. It is Renaissance. Renaissance. So, today on Thursday, we're talking about the Renaissance era. We all know and love. We probably talked about it in school, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, all right, do you have a time period in which the Renaissance happened? You got some years for us?
Okay, wait. It's kind of long
It is
because
long. It is long.
so the Renaissance kind of signaled like an end to the medieval way of thought
Hmm.
and thinking. So it's a very broad span between like the 14th, 15th, and 16th centuries.
Yeah.
So some people like Chaucer or Dante are included in this because their way of writing and thinking was adapting and changing in between the medieval to Renaissance periods. And then you have people that are well known like Da Vinci or Galileo who are
Hmm.
in like the peak of the Renaissance.
Yeah, yeah. So it took off. It started in Florence, Italy, which
Mhm.
is so great that it was just like one little town, and all these rich people were like, you know what? Let's put money into arts and sciences and see what happens. And then the world changed
Just see.
forever. What if instead of giving all of our money to the church, we branched out a little bit and literally everything changed from that moment in time in that one city? And I think that is just so cool. I think
Yeah,
that is
you had
incredible. Hmm.
you had all these politicians and writers
Yeah.
and artists and like this huge artistic revolution in all forms of thinking,
Yeah.
and it was just like infecting and spreading to people like all these ideas and all this changing
Hmm.
of thought from these kind of like older, I guess, more strict ways of thinking
Yeah.
to a freer expression.
Hmm. Yeah. In my mind, it's kind of like people have been making art and doing science and stuff since the beginning of time, but this is kind of the point where they were like, we are done trying to figure out how to survive. We know how to survive now, so let's
Yeah.
focus on how we're gonna live. And
Yeah.
they weren't like, okay, we give money to the church and then God will keep us alive. We tend to our crops every single day or we're gonna starve to death. And they're like, okay, we got farmers, we got people at the church, we've given plenty of money. Like the economy's kind of thriving after the dark ages. What do we do now? Well,
Yeah.
let's do something else. Let's find something else that we love. And then they found something else and it was so great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
truly.
I love the Renaissance.
And
I
I
wish I
love
was there.
that like it was so it like Maggie said it started in Italy and it just kind of spread throughout all of Italy, and other countries in Europe had experienced their Renaissance later, but it had all started in Italy and it just like grew like wildfire. Everyone's like, what if we just did this?
Right. And it worked. And
And
the
it
things that they
worked.
did during the Renaissance are still in our everyday lives. Like all of Da Vinci's science, he made the first like flying machine, which
Yes.
inspired modern day airplanes. All of these things, the idea of like making art focused on the body was something that came about
They
during
like
the
actual
Renaissance.
true anatomy.
Yeah, like focusing on anatomy
I
and things like that. This painting behind me is a Botticelli painting that was made during the Renaissance. And
I love it.
it was because rich people would give Botticelli money and be like, "Hey, make this painting for me about whatever you want." He's like, "Oh, whatever
Hmm.
I want. You don't want just a picture to hang in a church? Okay, I'm gonna paint a beautiful, gorgeous woman."
I love that. And it's like it's what's it called? I was just thinking about how like even a lot of like we talked about in a previous episode with the statue of David, like
Yeah.
the perfect like physiological anatomy of a man. I remember like talking in school about Leonardo because he had such perfect sketches. Wasn't
Hmm.
he? I don't know if this is true or not, but didn't he used to like dig up graves and stuff to like
Yeah.
examine the bodies?
Yeah, he was
Like,
doing a
isn't
lot
that
of
crazy?
suspicious things.
Like a
Yeah.
lot of creepy things,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
hey,
You know, he had a passion and he went
he
for
had
it.
a passion, he went for it.
I
And
can
now
only
he's
strive.
famous. And
Right?
Mona
And now
Lisa
he's
hangs
famous.
in the Louvre.
Yeah. So there.
Don't dig up bodies, please.
Don't, please, don't. This is
Don't
not
do
the
that.
advice. This is not the advice that we are saying.
No.
So, talking about the Renaissance, I have some fun little facts for you.
Give it to me.
Okay, here's a fun one. During the Renaissance, drinking someone else's blood was considered good for your health.
Oh, actually,
Yeah.
I'm not shocked by that statement.
Right? Yeah, like it kind of makes sense. Like
Yeah.
if somebody's healthy and you're not, they'd be like, okay, well if they're healthy, you drink their healthy blood and then you'll get healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
This
mean,
is also, yeah.
they thought a lot of like they thought blood was kind of the solution and problem to everything. Like they used to do leeching
The
and
leeches
stuff.
thing,
The
yeah.
leeches thing, what?
I hate that. I
Gross.
hate that. But this is also when Dracula was written. It was during the Renaissance. Yeah,
Whoa.
Vlad Dracula was like a leader during the time. I'm trying to find out where he
I
was a
did
leader
not
of.
know that.
Yeah, yeah, he was a big leader of the Ottoman Empire. And then Bram
Ooh.
Stoker was living in Europe at the time, met this guy, and he was like, this guy's crazy.
This guy's weird.
So I imagine this guy trying to drink someone else's blood to be healthy, and Bram Stoker's like, I just had a great idea for a book.
This is genius.
This is genius, and I'm not going to change your name at all.
I'm gonna I'm I'm gonna dox you and you're gonna deal with it.
Yeah, yeah. Even though we're all doing it, even though we are all doing it, I'm gonna make you look like a scary monster for it.
That reminds me of the what's it called? In one of the seasons, I think it's Coven of American Horror Story, where she like in order to make herself young, she thinks she has to paint like blood on her, like sacrifice blood on her to like keep herself young and living forever.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of things online with people who really believed that.
Yeah.
And they took like fresh blood or even like this is gross guys, but period blood.
Ah! Wait, and,
and
I've
would
seen that.
like put it back on them to
That's
like go back into their skin because they thought it would help them live longer and live forever.
Yeah. I've seen vampire facials are really in now, where you just take tiny little needles and you step all over your face, and you like you're obviously you come out and your whole face is bleeding, but it's like stimulating your skin or whatever, so to like rejuvenate it.
Yeah, I don't know how it works, but I'm like
I feel like I just have a bunch of tiny little scars, but
I know, like what if it just like makes my skin worse?
Right? Like it's tiny little stabs all over my face.
It's just like tiny dots everywhere.
You know what? If I had the money, why not try it?
Why not?
Yeah. So first vampires created during the Renaissance.
Okay.
That's great. Also,
dang, and then we have Twilight.
Right? And it's still going. Vampires still exist.
It still exists.
I know, it's so wild. All right, another fun fact. Beer did not exist in England until the 14th century.
Where did it come from?
They invented it. I guess, yeah.
Well, wait, so what did they drink before?
I guess like ale, which is just like water and yeast.
Okay.
So it was like probably really gross. But then like traditional beer came across from other places in Europe. I'm assuming like Germany because the beer people. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
England was just like
that
no wonder they were in the Dark Ages. They were drinking yeasty water.
They're like they had this whole time.
Yeah. And then they drink the beer, and then they got really creative with their art. Like it makes sense.
They were like, "Oh shit, what is this?
Whoa, my eyes have been opened."
Their third eye opens up.
Once they realized that drinks could taste good and not like a nightmare drink, then they'd be like, "Okay, well maybe we can try some other stuff too."
Yeasty water just sounds
yeasty water.
So disgusting.
That's disgusting.
Step one of bread.
Yeah.
Yeasty water.
Ew, yeast and water. Yeah, that's disgusting. That is disgusting. Here's a fun one. In the Renaissance, unicorns were widely believed to be real, which I believe 100%. I feel like they did exist at some point. Or
I'm sure.
Right. Like,
well, because horses used to be like very commonly wild until they were more domesticated now. And now there's like, you could hardly find any wild horses.
Right.
So who's to say they also didn't have horns?
Right? It's like a simple defense mechanism. Lots of
That
lots of animals in the wild
that
have
makes
them.
perfect sense to
Right?
me.
Yeah.
I'm also wouldn't be surprised if it was like a rhino situation where they're
Yeah.
dying out because we keep stealing their horns.
Yes. Yeah. We
I'm
made
sure
unicorns
if
go
I
extinct.
saw, like, if someone saw, not me personally, because I'm not an animal harmer,
Yeah.
but if I saw something with this beautiful, like, magical looking thing on its head, I'd be like, oh my God.
Yeah. And then people would like hunt them down and take them.
I'm
And then we
probably
just
drinking too much of
lost it.
that beer.
Yeah, yeah. They're drinking their delicious beer for the first time ever, and they're like,
Like,
"What is
what is
that?"
that?
Or they just see like a really big deer with a horn, and they're like, "I've
Oh
never seen a
no.
creature like that
Like,
in
where
my
did that
life."
No, I want one of those.
Magic. That is magic. But yeah, the national animal of Scotland is actually a unicorn.
I knew that.
Yeah, and so they have like unicorn statues literally everywhere, and that's why I love Scotland so much.
I was gonna say, I think that's one of the examples that people give that unicorns had to have existed because why would it
Right?
be the national animal if it never existed?
Yeah, and like Scotland's crazy old, so I'm sure
I'm
they were there at
sure
some point in time.
at least a single one.
Right, one single one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But that is
Mhm.
kind of wild. I believe, I don't know, I feel like a lot of interesting like tales and stories and myths had came about from this time, and
Yeah,
I believe all of them.
right. Who am I to say that they're not true? I wonder when.
Yeah.
Hold up, Nessie. When started?
When started.
When started Nessie? Because, like, I don't know. I believe
Nickname
it.
my daughter after the Loch Ness monster.
Monster. 1933. Never mind.
Way off, way off.
They just invented this creature in 1933.
That's
That's
crazy.
crazy. They
It's
just
not
wanted
even a real legend. They
the
just needed
tourist trap.
tourism.
Like, our town is failing. How do we get people here? Let's create a giant scary monster, and because it's Scotland, people will believe it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But besides Nessie in
Mhm.
1933, the Renaissance has brought us a lot of well known things, as we've mentioned, as Mona Lisa and
Yes.
the Statue of David, but also the birth of Venus, obviously.
Yes. It's my
And then
favorite
we got
one.
the Last Supper,
Yeah, yeah.
and the creation of Adam, the little.
Mhm.
And then is that on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel?
I want to say so. I
I'm like,
can't
is that
remember.
the one?
I think it
Because
is.
that's the most famous part of it, but the entire ceiling
Yeah, the whole thing is painted, but I think
is
that one part
painted
is also there.
beautifully.
Hmm.
But all of those things came about in the
Hmm.
Renaissance. And I do want to say, compared to the medieval art that we looked at, when you look at Renaissance art and paintings, the amount of significant
Right.
significant
Yeah.
detail
Hmm.
that is a complete 180 from the medieval art that we looked at.
No, literally. Yeah.
It's so like it's so like there are obviously like magical elements in some of the art,
Hmm.
but I'm like looking at them because they're so realistic and detailed. I'm like, this is real. You cannot
Yeah.
tell me
Yeah.
that woman didn't stand in a giant shell.
She did. She did. She was in that show.
It's so real.
I know. Yeah. And then like people look like people and animals actually look like animals.
And the emotion in them, because I
Yeah.
remember we were talking
Hmm.
about like the painting that you showed, the medieval painting with all the like the women in the garden.
Hmm.
I remember being like, why are they all just like
Just look
like
like that emoji with the
uncanny
striped mouth.
valley,
Yeah.
like exactly. And that is like the complete opposite of all Renaissance art,
Yeah.
is like it's so full of emotion, and
I
there's
know.
always something going on like behind the eyes of whoever it is.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think that's because art became not just a way to record history or like tell the stories that they had written down. Because like a lot of people couldn't read or write during like the
Yeah.
Dark Ages. So they're like, oh, but I know the stories like from the Bible and all these stories. So I'll just like draw a little stick figure about it. And then that's what we got. And
Yeah.
then now, like in the Renaissance, people would hire artists because that's all they did was make art. and they didn't have to write a story about it. They didn't have to record some important piece of history. They could just do whatever was on their mind and on their heart. And it became like an actual art form instead of just a way to record their history. And they got paid for it, so they didn't have to also do their jobs and plow the fields and sew their clothes.
Like, they paved the way as artists so we could sit here and podcast.
Right? Thank you, Botticelli. Thank you, Da Vinci. Thank you,
Michelangelo. Oh my god.
I love those Ninja Turtles, man. I love those turtles.
Oh my god. Turtles and I have shell.
Turtle power.
No, they're actually all members of the Renaissance.
They are. Yeah, they were there.
We got Donatello, Raphael, I forgot, was also an actual person.
I know, yeah.
He actually learned from Da Vinci and Michelangelo.
Nice. When I was in Florence, my goal was to see a painting by each one of the Ninja Turtles. And I did it. I did it. Yes, and it was the best thing ever.
Yes. And I love that. Did you take a picture with any of them? Are you allowed to?
You can, yeah. And most of the places you can take pictures of whatever you want, as long as there's no flash, because it like damages the paintings. But yeah, I have a picture of me in front of this one, and then I loved it so much that I bought a print of it. It's literally my favorite painting ever.
Love that. Yeah. Maggie's cultured, guys.
I'm #cultured. I spent every cent I have. Now I am so poor and will never see Italy again, but at least I did it once.
One and done, baby.
Yeah, or if any hot rich doctors want to marry me, we can go to Italy too. I know where everything is now.
She's a native. She knows.
Yeah, I'm #cultured. I can take you to see the world as long as you pay for it.
As long as you're paying for it, it's fine.
I'm great at airports. I know exactly what to do. I can always find the cheapest coffee. Like I bring plenty of things to the table. I just have no money. Yeah.
Coffee over there must have been so good.
It was delicious. Like I never drink black coffee, but I was doing black coffee every day. And it was $1.50.
I want to drink coffee everywhere.
Yeah. We would get every single day in Italy, we would get a croissant and a coffee for $3 each. And it was like the best thing ever. I know. And it was the most delicious thing ever.
That's insane.
It was so cheap. It was perfect.
Oh my gosh.
I could do it every single day. Every single day. But yeah.
The dream. But it's also convenient that we're talking about the Renaissance today because none other than our own William Shakespeare came about during the Renaissance.
Yeah, and he invented like everything.
Yeah, truly. I mean, he is the most famous playwright, and he became England's national poet. Which imagine having that title, being a whole nation's like mascot, like poetic mascot.
Right? Yeah, he was
Everyone vote for me for America's poetic mascot. Thank you.
It is Ari. Ari is the poetic mascot of America.
I'm the poetic mascot. It's okay. Maggie can be America's director mascot.
Yes.
That works too.
America's sweetheart.
America's sweetheart. Everyone vote Maggie.
Yes. But Shakespeare pretty much reinvented the way that we speak as well. Because he created like 1 billion words and phrases.
We have a fun fact.
Yeah?
It's not fun. It's actually a horrible fact.
Oh, no.
William Tyndale, 1494 to 1536. English biblical translator, humanist and scholar, burned at the stake for translating the Bible into English.
What? Whoa, that's crazy.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that is wild. Does it say why? Or
it's just listing like important figures, but I'm gonna look them up.
But I'm gonna look them up.
I'll tell you in approximately a few minutes.
I love it. The word swagger was invented during the Renaissance in the year 1600 to be exact. Yeah. The first use of the word swagger is in Midsummer Night's Dream. Written in 1600.
Thank you, William Shakespeare.
God bless William Shakespeare. Swagger. Now we can swag.
Now we can swag. Wait, that's insane.
I know, right?
What the heck?
Yeah. Also invented the word elbow, which is crazy that nobody said elbow before. What did they call it before that?
What did they call it?
Arm, knee.
Armband.
Armband. Eyeball as well was
Corner.
my body corner.
Oh, I hit my corner.
Oh, my corner.
Oh, and that's why they call it a funny bone.
I can't breathe. I hit my corner. Oh
I
my
dented my
gosh.
corner.
Oh, that is too good. I'm actually gonna go back to say that. Sorry, Shakespeare. That is too good.
Mistake, Shakespeare. Elbow was a mistake.
Yeah, mistake. Yeah.
First mistake.
But yeah, so many things that we say today were made by Shakespeare. It didn't exist before then.
That is, wow, the mind,
Right? I
truly.
know. Yeah. So
That
crazy.
like, and I mean that's very common still for a lot of writers. We see like these immense, like crazy world building
Hmm.
and just creating whole languages like the Game of Thrones language, Dothraki
Yes. Uh-huh.
and Valerian, and
Yeah.
things like that just being created by all these worlds. And our common speaking language comes from some of the earliest forms of writers and creators,
Right. Think
like
about how many
published,
times,
like
yeah, think about how many times you say, I volunteer as tribute. Because I say that all the time.
all the time.
Like, that was a phrase that was invented by Suzanne Collins in 2010 or whatever, whenever she wrote the book.
Yeah.
And I still use it all the time. Yeah.
I mean, even something as simple as like, swagger, like
Right?
from Shakespeare, like
Uh-huh.
swagger turned to literally swagger, and then we have swag,
Swag.
and just
Yeah.
straight, just like cut it in half. But
Yeah.
I remember like using that in freaking like middle school,
Oh my gosh.
where we were
Every
just talking
day.
about how people had swag,
Yeah.
and it was just like a normal thing to mention
Right.
all the time.
Yeah. Everybody had swag. It's just so interesting how things that didn't exist before this time period, they all got created at once and then they affected the world forever.
Power of the
So
mind,
crazy.
truly.
Right? The power of the human mind. So beautiful.
I wonder what the Renaissance, uh, how religion changed between the medieval times and the Renaissance times. Because I imagine with
Yeah.
everyone kind of jumping into this more, uh, I guess for lack of a better term, between the medieval times and Renaissance, it's kind of like moving from a conservative mindset to more of a open-minded, almost liberal mindset, right? You're
Yeah,
going
yeah.
from this closed thinking set in certain ways
Hmm.
to a more free form of thinking and exploring and testing boundaries to figure things out.
Yeah.
And you're rebirthing your whole thought, your whole society.
Right?
And
Yeah.
what generally tries to say the same are things like belief with religion and family values
Hmm.
and things like that, while everything else is changing on the outside. So I wonder how like this affected the church and the church's connections to society.
Oh, yeah. Because I bet with everybody like learning more about like science and the earth and like astronomy and all these things and like I don't know, individuality and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
they were probably like, well, what does this mean for the church? Because I got a lot of stuff going on here too. Because I know this is kind of when like Martin Luther and like the Protestant church kind of broke off and made all the little denominations. So there were
Mm,
definitely ideas about how religion should be practiced being
yeah.
thrown around. And I know for a fact that they were not having it.
Yeah,
These guys were persecuted hard.
yeah, I was gonna say, I wonder if that's why, like,
Mhm.
partially, like, why William Byrd ended up being, like, prosecuted because of
Right?
translating the Bible. Because if it was like a, hey, we don't want everyone in our religion type of deal, it's like, well, fine, I'll do this so everyone has access to it and we can practice it our own way.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, we'll do whatever we want. Things can change. It's just so interesting how they had these traditions for centuries and centuries. And then they had ideas finally, and they were like, whoa, we can change everything about how people live their lives just
Like
because we want to,
everything.
just
Just
because we had the
cause.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that must have been so crazy to live through it. Because now I feel like everything changes at such a fast pace that we don't really stop and think about the things that we leave behind. But this
Yeah.
was kind of the first time where they left, like, we go to church, we come home, we make the crops, we survive day by day. And they were like, there's so many more things in this life that we haven't even thought of yet. Let's go find them. And it's
Hmm.
just, yeah. And their whole world like exploded. And I hope that happens again one day for us, because I think it'd be so cool to live through another Renaissance.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That would be, imagine just like these massive explosions in art that are like so life changing that like hundreds of years down the line they're still looking at it in museums and
Right?
everything else.
Oh
Like
my
that would be
God.
insane.
Yeah. Oh, I like to think somewhere 200 years, 2,000 years in the future or whatever, they're reading our stuff and they're looking at our paintings and they're watching our
Truly.
podcast and be like, this was the Renaissance.
What? So wait. So 14 so the 15th century,
Hmm.
is that like the 1400s?
Yes, yeah.
So it's like a year the number one behind.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
I
Yeah,
was
because
like,
like
wait.
from like 0 to 99 is the first century. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, okay.
Uh-huh.
I was just checking.
Yeah, no, it always would confuse me in school. I'd be like, let me wrap my mind around this really quick and then I'll
Let
give you
me
an
think about
answer.
this for a second.
Yeah.
Trying to look at, because obviously there had to have been so many things discovered through sciences and stuff. Because I know that people probably learned a lot through things like Da Vinci, Da Vinci's
Hmm.
anatomy drawings and exploring the human body and which muscles move which things
Yeah.
and all the notes and stuff that he took.
Hmm.
But I'm trying to find more specific knowledge that was explored because we have so many of these famous, knowledgeable, uh, like scientists in
Oh, I know.
physics,
Yeah.
astronomy, medicine. Like we have Aristotle and Ptolemy
Hmm.
and all this other stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I
But what
suddenly,
specifically? Yeah.
like, I
Hmm.
suddenly forget everything I've learned in school.
Oh, I have a list. I have a list. Okay.
Go.
So the telescope, the
Oh,
microscope, the
oh,
thermometer, the astrolabe thingy.
what?
The astrolabe, it was like you could like tell the position of the stars, and it was used for like
Oh,
ships like navigating.
yeah.
Yeah. The submarine was invented.
Oh,
The musket, the
okay.
the mechanical clock. Whoa. Because
Ow,
we still
ear.
use those.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And now they're mobile.
And now they're mobile. Yeah. It's crazy. The oh, here's some scientific discoveries. Heliocentrism, which is the belief that the planets orbit the sun.
Yep.
Gravity. That guy,
Oh.
Isaac Newton, right? Yeah, with the apple. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
This was it. This was it. The scientific method. I remember that old thing.
Ooh.
Hypothesis.
That is one of the,
That's one of them.
which we learn so many of these things still in school.
I know, yeah.
The Pythagorean
Galaxies.
theorem.
Yeah, yeah.
Galaxies?
Yeah, they were, I guess, because they made the telescope and they're like, what is this that I'm looking at?
That had to have been a bomb ass telescope. I feel like we still have a hard time seeing that.
I know. We take these crappy pictures of space, and I'm like, come on,
Bro,
guys. I
yeah,
could take a
with
better picture
no,
of that with my cell
seriously.
phone. Yeah.
Well, okay. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So for the longest time, we've been using the Hubble telescope,
Hmm.
obviously,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And if you look at pictures of the Hubble telescope, it's like, okay, that's cool. That's space. That's
Hmm.
space.
That's space.
But Now we have my boy James Webb. And the Webb telescope,
The weboscope.
the Weboscope is so good.
No, it's crazy. Yeah.
The quality
The
is
pictures are
insane.
incredible. Yeah.
I follow NASA on
As you
all of
should.
my socials,
As you
and
should.
I'm just like, this is so perfect.
Hmm.
And somebody, it's crazy because I feel
Hmm.
like NASA, I guess, I feel like just focuses a lot on like the outer space,
Hmm.
imagery. But the best picture I've ever found or seen of one of our own planets, Saturn,
Yeah.
was from like somebody random on Instagram, and I was like, this
Hmm.
is so beautiful. It was just like a picture of Saturn with the stars, and then they did a zoomed in picture, and you can see all of
Hmm.
Saturn's rings. And I was like, oh my god, I love this so much. It's so perfect and magical and beautiful. And we wouldn't have any of that if they didn't invent the telescope during the
I
Renaissance.
know, right? And then we built off of it, and we've come so far even since then. And imagine how far we're gonna go in the future.
It's crazy because like all of this started in Italy, like this kind
Hmm.
of expansion.
Yeah.
And I can understand it affecting like the rest of Europe, but like
Hmm.
also just having like Europe and then, you know, moving westward and exploring the
Yeah.
rest of the
Hmm.
world and all of these things moving across the world and also surviving time is
Right.
really
I
kind of
know.
baffling me. I'm
And
not gonna lie.
like the Silk Road trade routes. That was like
Yeah.
India, Asia, all the way like this. That was during the Renaissance too. So as they were sharing like all their
Oh,
spices and their stuff, they were sharing all these ideas, and it was just spreading and spreading.
that's crazy.
Right? It's so cool.
I just some
Yeah.
of these things like surviving and getting through time and just like it's just really baffling to me. Time is such a weird because this was so
It
long
is.
ago.
I know, literally
This
so long
was
ago.
so like
Yeah.
generations and
Mm.
generations ago.
Yeah. But like I mean, like we've talked about when we're reading like Canterbury Tales and Shakespeare, like the human spirit has stayed the same all throughout time. So
Yeah.
that same desire that we have to create and learn and challenge ourselves and change, that's what they had back then. And they finally had the resources to be able to do it. And so we're the same now, and we could probably do a renaissance whenever we wanted. If the
Whenever we
econ
want, guys.
if the economy gets good again,
Huh?
if the economy gets good again, I would love to be a professional artist and create the next Birth of Venus. But whatever.
Whenever I guess.
Whatever economy. Yeah.
Um, what's it called? In the early, okay, so since we're talking, I like that we're getting like a little
I
historical.
know.
What's it called? But in the earlier parts of like just at the end of medieval,
Hmm.
right before the Renaissance, right?
Yeah.
This is what we're saying when like what we talked about it in our last episode,
Hmm.
and we talked about it before in the Kylo episode, where like sometimes you really have to uh you know dig deep, and changing your life can sometimes hurt because you have to let go of things that
Yeah.
you may be used to but are hurting you right before this rebirth of art and society and people and genius was the Black Death, the plague.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yep.
Dang.
And there was horrible famine.
Hmm.
Friggin', I'm sure the economy was in the
Shambles.
depths.
Yeah.
We got things like the Ring Around the Rosie nursery
Hmm.
song
Yeah.
and things like that. And that's when we have these medieval times of the Middle Ages and things ending
Hmm.
uh by this horrible disaster.
Yeah.
And it transitions into a period that lives throughout history. People pay hundreds and thousands of dollars to see what is left of this crazy golden age of the mind.
Right? And think about like in the 1920s when like the Harlem Renaissance happened,
Yeah.
and like the like American Renaissance was kind of happening, and like new music was being created, cities were booming. That all happened after World War One.
Yep.
And it was kind of, and then obviously like the Great Depression happened, but But before that,
Oh. Then we
like,
got the 80s
and then we
and
got the 80s, baby. And then we got the housing recession of 2008. But then the Wii came out.
then we had 2010, guys.
Then we got 2010. Then we had the Black Eyed Peas.
No, I would say the teens are iconic for music.
No, literally changed
Truly.
lives. Changed my life, truly.
Yeah, and
But yeah.
to say like the most famous Renaissance period is not the only Renaissance either. As Maggie just mentioned, the Harlem Renaissance. There's so many different time periods throughout history that could be considered a Renaissance because all a Renaissance is like a period of rebirth and
Yeah.
change. It literally means rebirth. Like we weren't joking when we said that.
No, like that's the literal definition.
Like so
Yeah.
now is your time to have your own personal
Oh my
Renaissance.
god, I was just gonna get to that. Yeah. So that's kind of like our whole point in, changing your mindset, making like changes throughout your life, setting your main quest, your goals. That's kind of what we've been doing this entire time. This entire season of the questing hour is we've
Inciting a
been in a
renaissance
process
deep
of
within
rebirth.
you.
Yeah. So, Ari, how's the way that you've been renaissanced
How have I been
during this journey?
renaissanced?
Yeah.
Ooh, I feel like definitely my mindset has shifted significantly in the way that like I am almost seeking out things that bring me joy a lot
Hmm.
more. So more specifically, like I just like look for things. I'm like, what would be a fun adventure for me to do today? Like to
I love
switch
that.
up my things. And I'm always like, I don't always maybe fulfill my quests
Hmm.
or achieve the adventure I'm searching for, but it definitely has me looking on the more positive side of things and like wanting to be on the more positive side of things by
Yeah.
looking for these journeys and looking for
Hmm.
these little adventures. And that's helped me a lot with like other things that I'm working on with
Hmm.
myself is just like kind of keeping me on the light side of things while I work on some of the darker side of things.
No, I love that. Just like keeping your setting your mind on like a brighter horizon while you're dealing with
Yeah.
you're dealing with all the dark things below. Just being like,
Yeah.
there's good things out there. I'm gonna keep my eyes on those while I'm,
Mhm.
fighting the demons or whatever.
It's
Yeah.
like it's like while I'm watering my own grass, I'm observing the flowers that are
Yes,
growing
I
across
love
the
that.
street. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
my yard could have those flowers. And
And it will. And it
my
will.
yard will have
Will
those
have those
flowers as
flowers.
long as I
That's why
keep
you're watering
watering.
them. Yeah. Yeah. You keep watering and
Exactly.
you look at your future. Yeah. I love that.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love
Yeah.
it.
What about you, Maggie?
Let's see. How have I been renaissanced during this whole journey? I think
Tell us.
one thing that I really had to let die and kind of recreate is the concept of not settling. Yeah.
Ooh.
When we first started this journey, I was kind of in a place where I was like, "Oh, I guess this is as good as it gets." Like, I mean, it's like fine, but is this it? I guess so. And then throughout this journey, I realized it is not as good as it gets. There are definitely better things out there. I've seen them. I know they exist, and I'm gonna go get them, and I'm
Yeah.
not gonna take anything else. And so I've definitely been saying no a lot more often, which is one of the things I wanted to work on. I say,
Yes.
no, I'm not doing that because I don't
No.
want to. And that's the only reason
And
you
that
need.
is okay.
Yeah.
I
That's
love
the
that for
only
you.
reason I need. Just being able to make
Truly.
those selfish decisions, even if they're selfish, because it's my life, it's my body, it's my mind. I'm going to do the things that make me happy. And I'm not going to accept anything less. And that's kind of like
As you should.
having to kind of reset those thoughts like, oh, do I deserve anything better? Like, maybe this
Yeah.
is as good as it gets. I should just stop trying now and kind of be like, no, kill that idea. There are fantastic and beautiful and wonderful things
Kill
out
it.
there, and I'm gonna go get them. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my rebirth journey that I've been on, and it's like so great.
I
Just seeing
love
where I
it.
was then and where I am now. It's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I I do want to say more, But I know next episode we're gonna get a little bit deeper.
I know. Yeah, I was thinking about that.
So, so we have a lot more to say, of course. But by the time you hear this episode, there will be 2 episodes left before Maggie and I take a brief break.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this more in the next episode to elaborate our break and how this podcast is going to look going forward, coming back from our break, so that y'all understand where we're coming from as creators and whatnot. But I hoped you liked this little tidbit of history, because we'll be getting into that a lot more.
Yes. Yes.
I hate that we did that at the same time.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, we have so many more things to talk about. I cannot wait to get into it. Get really into the nitty gritty. I can't wait.
Nitty gritty details.
The nitty gritty details, the historical peoples, everything. No spoilers, but it's gonna be great. We're very smart and we have lots to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So stay tuned. But wow, side quest. Oh my gosh. I almost wrapped it up.
Stay tuned, the episode's over, no side quest.
And we're done. See you. Bye forever. Closing the laptop.
Bye forever. Podcast over.
Bye forever. Go, goodbye. No, we have a side quest.
I'm so glad that Maggie did it this time, because I was rewatching the episode where I forgot the quest and I started ending the episode. And I was getting secondhand embarrassment watching myself.
So funny. That's our whole thing. That's our whole thing.
And now it's Maggie's turn.
It's me this time. Yeah.
I hope you rewatch this, Maggie. I'm looking at you in the future, Maggie. I hope you're cringing so hard at yourself.
Editing it and then watching it and being like, what am I doing?
Embarrassed.
What am I doing, man? We got stuff to do. We got quest to quest.
We got quests to go on.
Anyway, your side quest. So we talked about rebirth, changing things, learning, growing, giving up your past. So my side quest is a little bit of a fun one, a funky one. And what I want you to do is I want you to look at your closet, look at all of your clothes, and everybody has those outfits that they grab. They're like, oh, I wear this shirt with these pants, or I like this top and this skirt. And it's always those 2 things together. I want you to create an outfit with elements that you've never ever worn together before. And it might look wacky, it might be uncomfortable to you when you first put it on, but I want you to just experiment with the things you have and try a new look and see what you like. And maybe it will spring some new inspiration for your future wardrobe. Yeah.
Okay. I have a side quest for you.
A side quest for me?
A surprise side quest.
A surprise quest!
Maggie didn't know about this.
I didn't know about this.
Because I was like,
hearing of this.
I was just thinking, I want you to take your outfit that you do for your Maggie quest.
Taking outfit.
And put it on and go to the supermarket closest to you with a friend and do that thing on TikTok where they have to pick your food by telling you to stop.
Oh, so, I love that.
Run down the aisle, they tell you to stop, and that's what you have to get.
That's so cute. I love it. I love that.
Then have a little picnic.
Yeah, that's perfect.
With your food and snacks and your new outfit.
Obsessed. I love it.
I've always wanted to do that.
I know, it's so much fun. Okay, I'm on the way, Ari. We can just do it together.
All right, that works.
Okay, I'll see you later.
See you in 6 hours.
Yes, in 6 hours.
But that is your quest. I hope y'all are thinking about your renaissance, and I hope you feel you've been a bit renaissanced by us.
Oh, I hope so.
But don't worry, we are still being, we're going to still dive into the medieval, into the Renaissance.
Yeah.
But I think it was important, especially because we talked about the hero's journey kind of being an endless circle. And that's almost what a Renaissance is. It's part of the cycle of life changing and revolving and adapting to itself. At the end of the Renaissance, I think between the 16th and 17th century, we get things like the Salem witch trials, where we have this rise in popularity in religion after coming from a time period of such like kind of pushing the boundaries, free thinkers, division in religion. We get this growth spike in religion, and we have things that are horrible, like the witch trials throughout England and into the States.
That you thought.
Yeah, like psych.
But out of that comes the Age of Enlightenment with Thomas Paine, Thomas Jefferson, and the American independence. Yeah.
It's all a cycle. It's all a cycle.
And it goes around and around and around, and great things happen and bad things happen, and great things happen again, and humans keep living.
Yeah. And it's all a part of, I imagine it's part of the balance of things, right? There's got to be some sort of scale that goes on. And so if you feel like you are not in your Renaissance right now and you're in your plague.
You're in your plague era.
You're in your plague era. That's okay. It's all right to goblin down.
Yeah.
But, your Renaissance is coming. And we're here to help you Renaissance it out.
We'll be there to put on our little masks and get you through the Dark Ages. And then we'll be there to celebrate it up during the Renaissance, too.
Drinking some beer.
Drinking some of that new beer that I've heard about.
That brand new beer that
pretty good.
I don't know why we didn't get this before, but crazy.
But anyway, that's all for this episode.
Yes. I know we will keep talking.
I know, we can talk literally forever. It's bad.
Someone tell us to shut up.
Someone stop us.
Someone stop
We're
us,
too
please.
enlightened.
Pause us. Stop.
That was pretty good.
Farewell, travelers. Check out our socials, and we'll see you here on Monday.
Bye.